Hey guys, before I get started with the tutorial, I just want to let you know that I'm making a special announcement at the end of this video about a fight scene tutorial course that I've been making and how you can pre-order it. So if you're interested in that, stick around till the end of the video and I'll tell you more about it. Hey guys, today I have a small demonstration tutorial to show you, and it's all about adding more energy to your punches in animation. So here's the example of a punch, 3 frames, and you can see they just go back and forth like this. And I kind of purposefully made this animation to kind of do one with a low energy, and so I could explain why. And most of why this is, I find that the first thing that stands out is the in-between. So what I basically did for this one is I created a direct in-between between this frame, which I suppose you could call the anticipation frame. It's really like the mid-frame, and then you put an in-between in here, and then the full reach of the punch, and then I'm just drawing it back like that. So the first thing is that to say that you should avoid if you're trying to put more energy into your punches is that this in-between basically doesn't need to be there. For one thing, you could take this in between out, because you want the punch, the leading up to this part of the punch where you're at full extension, you want that to be very fast, and you make it fast by taking out frames or creating space between the frames so that it creates speed. And if you have speed, you have power. Speed and weight is power. So the other thing is that the way that you could, if you did want to keep this in between in, is you would hold back on that fist, so that if you put it back here, then it would have further distance to travel and would create more of an impact. The other thing is that you can see the legs are completely stationary, more or less, and more importantly, the legs are on balance the entire time. So if you look at the center of gravity, let's say it's about here, from the head down or the torso down, the legs are nice and wide apart. I haven't drawn the rest of the legs, but you can see that there's a wide stance, and for the entire movement, the anticipation included, he's staying balanced with the weight. Now in some fighting styles that's actually taught and it works very well, but you're trying to put in like a massive amount of energy, and you can't really get your entire body weight momentum behind your punch if you're keeping your balance in there, because you can't utilize this weight that you have. The majority of a human's weight is in the torso, so that's from here to here. So a large amount of the weight is here, and this punch isn't using any of that weight. It's only really using the weight in the arm and the fist, so it's going to be quite a weak punch. It's not going to deliver a lot of impact. It's not going to be very strong. The other thing is it kind of starts off already in the middle of the punch. You need more anticipation and follow through. I'm going to be using those words a lot in this: anticipation and follow through. The good thing about it is there is a slight twist in the torso. So if that's like a cross section there is a twist. So that's good, but we want to just bring more of that out if we can, more of a twist round. We want to be utilizing this kind of twisting thing, because you can get a lot of power out of twisting the hips and the torso. But one method for getting more energy into your punches is to have the character go down and then come up. And what that does is you're kind of able to grip the floor here when you press down, and really what he's doing when he comes up, he's kind of pushing off against the ground with his feet. So that's a really cool method that you can use at times. You'll see it a lot in certain animated fight scenes that are done really well. The character will spring off his legs and push against the ground to get that extra base for him to launch himself off of like a rocket. So also on this, I've added some more steps, because obviously this isn't enough steps to animate a punch. The punch lasts a much longer time, and it's not just the contact that the punch is in, it's all around the punch as well. It can last many frames afterwards, and it can predate the punch many frames before. It's a long process, or it can be if you're packing a powerful punch. I've got the anticipation frame here, so that's marked as 1, because we could strictly say that that is the first one, is the anticipation, but really I've done the pre-anticipation, so I marked that as 0. So this is when he falls into the anticipation. So you see how he's already kind of bringing up his fists ready to punch. So the thought, he's already thought of it, he's eyeing up his target, he's looking at his target, and as you'll notice, the center of gravity, we're starting to bring it off of what it was before. So here it's always grounded, right, and that kind of limits the amount of energy you can use. Here he has he's taken his center of mass and he's leaning into the anticipation. This is really cool because he's starting to put his weight behind everything, and he's going to be a much more powerful force. And we do this by taking the feet, the base of the feet, and taking it out from under the center of gravity, and this is going to give him a lean where he leans into stuff, and that is really nice. That's just a tip for animation in general, leaning into things. I love doing it, and it adds so much more energy, and it gets the whole body involved. The anticipation here, he's spring loaded. He's like a spring here. He's got his knees outwards, and he's kind of charging up. You can kind of feel the energy. He's coiling up. You see his head is down. So here he's looking at his target. Now his head is sunken into his shoulders. So he's kind of like, when you sink your head into your shoulders, you're bracing. Brought his forearm, his front arm up. And I'm going to explain what the front arm does. The front arm is an important part in a big punch. So the arm that's not punching is also involved. What I'm doing with this arm is basically, in a lot of punches, you kind of throw the arm forwards first before you punch. It's like a pre-punch almost, and it helps with the momentum and the energy. Here he's got a fist ready. Now you could on this frame or on this frame still have him kind of gathering his fingers into making a fist. That's an option you could have. I also went and added in an extra bit, but I'm trying to stick to the key movements, so this doesn't have in-betweens in it at all. It's just the key points within the movement. But I did go in and add in one more. But you see he's starting to, part of his body is moving in the opposite direction now, ready to throw the punch, but part of his body is still kind of, this is lingering behind, and he's still in the spring stance. He hasn't uncoiled yet. So now this is an interesting frame, right? This is the stage 2, I call it, the whip frame, or the body first frame. So what essentially you do in this one is you throw your body out in front of the punch first, and the idea is the fist that's going to be doing the traveling, the fast traveling, that stays behind. So you want to keep that as far behind as you can. I could have kept that even further back. If I wanted to really exaggerate, I could have it all the way back here. I could have the arm fully outstretched just to keep it back, like hold it back, but keep the body, make the body lurch out, so the body's leading the movement. Okay, might not seem very realistic in a real life situation or something, but in animation, this is how you do it. Okay, this is how you really exaggerate. If we wanted to exaggerate this even more, we could do like, completely crouched down, arse to grass, thing like that, and then the contrast between them, we're trying to build contrast there. You see how this front arm has been flung forwards, it's in that kind of arc, so he's kind of whipped it out of the way like that. Like whipped it out in front first, and it's the pre-punch, if you like. There's a whole kind of ceremony of movement that a character can make before the punch and after the punch. You see here how his torso is the thing leading the movement, not his head even. You can do a punch that leads with the head. It gives a different vibe to the whole thing. Basically, things that lead with the body, they feel more kind of passionate and feelings related, and things with the head feel more calculated and controlled. And with the body as well, movements led with the body feel less in control. So when you do someone falling down, they'll typically lead with their body first, with their torso, and their head will drag along. So this is kind of like his body is leading it, not even its head, his body is. So we're getting lots of streaks on here as his fist is starting to build up lots of speed. And then we have the defining action, number 3. So the defining action, this is generally the frame that you'll start on. So when you're drawing out this punch animation, you'll start on the defining action. So in manga drawing, or comic book artists, they will draw this in their comic strip page. They will draw the defining action because it shows the person getting punched. The person could be like on the end there. I'm going to do a separate video for the guy getting punched and what you do with that. You see this shape here? This turns to more like that, and it's like, why I call it a whip. It acts like a whip. So you think of a whip, the base moves first and then the end moves, but the end builds up all that speed from being attached to the base. The leading arm is now behind, and look at how much distance this fist has travelled here. It's travelled a massive distance. That is what we've basically been structuring this around, is how can we make the fist travel the most amount of distance in the least amount of time. You know, the legs are kind of like struggling to keep up with the rate that the body and the fist is going. Here the legs are driving the movement, and then as it's punched, the legs are basically like, now the energy has gone from the legs up to the upper body. The upper body has all that speed, all that momentum, and the legs are in like an energy deficit because they gave their energy from here to here. They gave their energy, so now they're struggling to keep up. And you see how this arm, the once leading arm, so it was the leading arm there, it's played an important part, and one of the roles it's played is the rotation of the upper torso. So it's rotated around. It's swung around this pivot point here. Now we're going to the follow through. So the follow through is really important. It's almost as important as the anticipation. I'd say probably as important as the anticipation. And I've done a quite inventive follow through for this one because of how exaggerated it was. I had to be a bit inventive. Basically, he's left the ground. He's got so much energy. He's kind of left the ground. I could move that along just a little bit like that, and you'll notice that what happened was he got to the maximum amount that the fist can stretch out, and if you'll notice, his fist was traveling in a wide arc. It's traveling in a wide arc. There's a very big arc. It's almost straight, but it was a wide arc, and so it's followed that arc back around. It's because the energy, there was a surplus of energy. There was an extra amount of energy. If he had hit a brick wall then unless he had punched through the brick wall, he would probably stop there because all the energy would go into the brick wall. But he's got energy to spare on this one. He's got loads of energy, so he's got spare energy, and whatever he's hit, he's gone through it, or he's sent it back. It's gone back around basically, and it's back around in his body, and it's followed this arc, a very wide arc. Wide arcs are typically quite they indicate speed and power, and short arcs indicate not as much speed and power. So the legs here, he's just basically left the ground. So this one's gone there, this one's come from here. I kind of drew this frame in a hurry, but it should do the trick. And then we've got the aftermath. I just nicknamed it that. So this is like, as things are starting to die down, the energy's starting to go, it's being displaced. Remember, energy cannot be created or destroyed or something like that. So it's being displaced now, it's being spread out to everything. So what you have is this foot here. I knew that I needed to get from this leg, I needed to get this foot, because it was behind here when he was standing here. I knew I needed to get it in front, so what I did was I had it leap forwards and then down in front, so now it's on the ground. So that's caught him. Without that, he would probably fall over, so he has to have a foot out there to catch him. So yeah, the only thing is I've kept the head facing that way just so he can see his target and what he's hit, because if you turn your back, I don't know, it's not good practice, I guess, to turn your back on your enemy completely. But he has, if you can see this, he has turned his shoulders around, so he's like pretty much completely facing away from his opponent, apart from his head. You see how he's now facing that way with his chest. Before, he was facing that way, away from the camera, and here he was facing towards us. So it's gone like 3/4 of the way around. So now just have a look through as I do this. I'm about to explain the timing or what I've done with the frames up there, but just have a look at some of the things, like pay attention to maybe the waist or the head, see what the head's doing in each of them. Actually, I'm gonna I haven't done the timing perfectly because obviously I haven't put the in-betweens in. These are just the keyframes, but that should give you an idea. So you see in the feet, they go to that wide stance just so that he can like power up. It's almost like gathering energy, and then he goes completely off balance during the punch. He goes like, look at this. I mean, the way I tested it is, if he was still here, could he keep that pose without falling over? No. So he's off balance, but we want that for this one. That indicates movement. Off balance indicates movement. So I did have it just like this before, all these keyframes spaced out, and now I've slowed down certain ones and I've kept other ones fast. So you'll notice that pre-anticipation takes up 3 frames, so quite a lot. But the anticipation itself, the kind of coiling up, the springing up, that all in all has taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frames. 5 frames. So that's a long time I spend on this one. Now, the whip, just 1 frame. So because the speed is being unleashed here, it's a burst of speed. Real burst of speed, so we want that to happen in less time. So we only give it 1 frame. Defining action, we give in 1 frame, but we could give that in 2 frames and it would still probably work pretty well. A lot of people give extra kind of frames to the defining action, even though it doesn't necessarily look as authentic, because that frame might go past quite fast actually. I wouldn't under these circumstances though, so I'm gonna leave it as 1 frame. And then the follow through, so quickly as that energy is being released, it was released in a burst, and then now it's like diminishing rapidly. Now we got 1, 2, 3, 4 frames for the overlapping action, so quite a long time spent on just this frame with the overlapping action. You starting to slow way down, and then here aftermath, you could give that like 5 frames, I reckon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because it's really starting to settle. It's all starting to settle down. Yeah, so obviously these ones with the overlapping action, they're very juttery because they don't have in-betweens in. So what I would do to smoothen them up, I would put in-betweens in. This wouldn't necessarily affect how fast or slow they look. It might just a little bit. It might a little bit actually, but in between them, they'll look really smooth if you put them onto 1s or 2s if you like. I've done another little simple demonstration which should help you out. This one, before that, the front arm would be back a little bit, maybe here. So if I drew another one behind this one for the pre-anticipation, Then we've got of course the arm coming back as it makes way for this fist, and we've got the chest exposed, so the chest is like starting to face the direction you're hitting. That exposed chest, and most people, their chest muscles, they only stretch so far, they only stretch a certain amount. Like if you try and have your arms out and then bring your arms back, you'll get this kind of tug, and it's this spring. So I'm kind of using that, like right here, right now, the elbows are both really far back, so you're using the natural spring of the chest muscles. But you'll notice that the fist has barely travelled at all, because it's saving that travel time for here, where it makes that massive distance. In this case, I've boiled it down so the whip frame is also the defining action frame. So it's travelled way out ahead, and then it coils back. And here you see how it's gone from straight, and now it's sprung back a little bit, and we've got this kind of shape with the arm. With the body, you can see as well the lean. I mean, this is a certain style of lean, but you can do loads of different ones actually. Be inventive, try different ways and see which one suits the punch that you're throwing, because a different style of lean will get you different results. So this is a fast hit. You know, I'm always trying to condense these hits down to be very economic with their frames, because I want to be able for my character to rattle off a lot of powerful hits in a very quick space of time as well. And to do that, you have to condense down these punching movements into as few frames as you can if you want to get quick punches going. And I enjoy the look of quick punches. I think they look cool. If you enjoyed this video, as was explained before, I've got this tutorial course on my website, animatorguild.com/downloads. It's going up very soon. It might even be up depending when you're watching this. I take you through step by step the entire process of creating a multi-combat animation. I show how to move the camera in with the action, like a virtual camera. I show more techniques on using force, and you get the source files for it, so you get to download it, deconstruct these things. Loads of other extra things thrown in there as well. It's really a bargain for what you get. So head over there, please just check it out. Even if you're not thinking of buying it, it would be cool if you just shared it with someone. Thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been helpful. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.